Rachel Rodgers is the founder of Hello 7, a multi-million-dollar company that teaches diverse entrepreneurs how to earn more money and build wealth. Hello 7 has been recognized as an Inc. 5000 company for the past 3 years. Rodgers has been featured in Good Morning America, The Drew Barrymore Show, Forbes, Entrepreneur Inc., Cheddar, CNBC, Pop Sugar, and Women's Health. Rodgers' mission is to teach historically excluded groups how to end the cycle of overworking, under-earning, and financial stress once and for all, and to build generational wealth. Through her podcast and blog, Rodgers reaches over 400,000 people every week, sharing guidance on how to take charge of your financial situation, increase your income, work smarter, and make decisions like a millionaire, even if you aren't one yet. As a business coach, attorney, CEO, Black woman, working mother, and self-made millionaire, Rodgers brings a powerful combination of professional and personal insight. She's known for her blunt, sensible advice and for calling out the elephant in the room, whether it's racism, misogyny, or centuries of unfair legal practices that have stripped financial power away from women. Rodgers teaches her clients how to succeed financially in spite of the very real obstacles along the path. Rachel started her career working on the Hill with nonprofits, federal judges, and iconic leaders, including Hillary Clinton. When she realized that changing the world is a lot easier when you have some cash in your bank account, she decided to become wealthy and to teach other women how to do the same. Rachel is the host of the Hello 7 podcast and founder of We Should All Be Millionaires, the club and online network for professionals, which has helped hundreds of millionaires and thousands become financially free. Her debut book, We Should All Be Millionaires, A Woman's Guide to Earning More, Building Wealth, and Gaining Power, is a Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Amazon bestseller. She is also the author of $1 Million Action, your step-by-step guide to making wealth happen, and the Audible Originals, $1 Million Habits, 6-figure side hustles, and planning your life of a millionaire. Rachel's latest book, Future Millionaire, a young person's step-by-step guide to making wealth inevitable, offers teens and young adults the roadmap they desperately need to become optimistic and financially independent adults. Rachel's premier conferences, ROI, the Millionaire Summit, has reached thousands of entrepreneurs. She is currently leading a life beyond her and her ancestors' wildest dreams with her husband and 4 children. What's up, my financially intentional people? So if you don't know, I am one of the biggest fans of Rachel Rodgers. I really love her book, We Should All Be Millionaires. Like, that's one of my most recommended books. And she wrote a new book. So I'm super honored to have you here, Rachel.
Thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be here. And look, I just got the physical copy. So now it's here.
I love it.
It got the gold foil like the last one. I'm like, because it needs to feel fancy.
The gold foil is everything. I'm a gold foil girl myself, so I'm here for it. I love it. And it's a full circle moment because I remember seeing that book in the bookstore, like before I heard anything about it. And I was like, how come I don't know Rachel? I feel like I should know her. Like, she's not my homie. What is this? And yes, I'm honored that I get to talk to you now. Yeah, let's just dive into it. Let's talk about this new book that you're writing about future millionaires, because that's what I'm raising.
Yes, exactly. So you understand, right?
Yes.
Like we're trying to raise children that do not have the struggles that we experience, right? And that have a head start and not starting from behind. You know what I mean? But the reason why, and that alone is a reason to write this book. But then if you look at our economic times, it is more needed than ever because young people today are struggling, like just Gen Z as a generation, they are not doing as well as their parents. So that means that they've inherited an economy with the housing costs are very high, right? Inflation. And so they don't, and student loans. So with all of that, they don't have the buying power, even though wages look like they are making more than their parents, they don't have the buying power that their parents had, right? Which means They never leave in your house, right? If you don't have a new financial plan for them, like you're never getting that dedicated podcast studio, that crafting room. You got plans for their room. But those plans are never happening, okay? Because they're going to live with you forever. So this generation needs a new financial plan that is going to work, that is more than just go to college, get a good job, buy a house, right? That is not the pathway anymore. That pathway is not working for the majority of young people today. So I wanted to write a book that's going to give them a realistic plan, because I'm all about realistic. Mm-hmm. And I assume that you're starting from zero with nothing, no resources, right? No network, just the talent that you have. How can you monetize that as a young person today? So that is the goal of this book.
So at what age, idealistically, would that person be picking up this book?
It's a big range. It's anywhere from teenagers all the way, I would say, up until like late 20s. So Gen Z right now is anywhere from 13 years old, which is the age of my daughter, all the way to 27. So that is Gen Z, and that's the target audience. But as I've been doing podcasts and just doing the press tour for this, I've been talking to people who are like, I'm 38 and low key, I got a lot of attention for this book. They're like, this book was hitting for me, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I was going to say. So like, at what point do you recommend they just read We Should All Be Millionaires, which I feel like encompasses that portion, those 30-something-year-olds, versus like, when should they pick up this book? How do you differentiate? Yeah.
That is such a great question. So I really think that We Should All Be Millionaires was all about, it was a great call to action to say, y'all, we have more power than we realize, and we need to look at our money. We need to pay attention to our money. We need to be earning more, right? And these are all the things that are getting in the way of us earning more, right? So it's really a call to action to women. Many men have read this book, and people who don't identify as women, they love it, right? This book, I would say it's more along personal finance. There's more, I never talk about investing in We Should All Be Millionaires, right? Where I have a whole chapter about investing in this book. So this book has a lot of also career advice that We Should All Be Millionaires does not include. So how do you approach your career? What is that pathway? And then it also details like how to build a side hustle, which that how to isn't really in We Should All Be Millionaires. It's introducing this topic, but it's not really going into the how. So this book is more, I think it's really great for anyone who's a young person who's starting out, or if you're starting over as an older person and you're like, where do I even begin? What is my pathway today? I think it would be a great book for that person as well.
Yeah, I like, in having read both books, I feel like it's okay. We should all be millionaires. If I had no knowledge, like We Should All Be Millionaires is getting me crunk. I'm ready to do this. Yes, this is what's up. Yes, we should. And this is why. And then the other book, Future Millionaires, is the how and those practical things. But I understand like it skews to people who are just starting. But I feel like my target audience is in the 30-40 range, but everybody feels like they're just starting because they haven't had these lessons ever. Their parents haven't had these lessons. And so when I look at these books written towards like this younger audience, I'm just like, what are these parents of these people
we still need
like
to
learning? Like we still got a lot of work to do. Like any advice for the parents in the book, because the parents are still at a place, I don't know this stuff. More is caught than taught. I don't feel comfortable in my finances. How you think I'm supposed to teach you about it? And then it's just, so I feel like there's like friction there because you want better for your kids.
Yes.
But you don't necessarily know the tools to give them.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. And I honestly, my ideal scenario would be that parents and young people would read this together. So if you have kids who are teenagers, even my son is 11, he's reading this book as well. My daughter is 13. She's like really into it and excited about it, you know? So they're reading it, but also my niece who is 27 read it and was like, oh my God, that investing chapter got me all the way together. She's like, yes. I'm so hyped because she had a little bit of money to invest. And so she was like, okay, I get it now. You know, I understand. And I'm like, how amazing for her to get that lesson. So I love for young people to be reading this, but I would love for them to read it with their parents. And in fact, we've incentivized it. Like we have a pre-order bonus that if you buy 2 physical copies, you get 2 entries into Money Camp, which is a live course that I'm teaching completely for free for everybody who buys the book. If you buy 2 copies, And the reason I did that is so that parents can attend with the young people in their life, whether it could be your kids or it could be like a niece, nephew. Because you know what? The other thing too is aunties and uncles, y'all are not safe. They will come sleep on your couch. They will take over your office. Okay, I've talked to a few friends of mine who are like, I got my niece in my basement right now. And I'm like, yo, the aunties ain't safe, because when you exhaust your parents, you're going to be right at your auntie's house.
Exactly.
Be like, let me go over here to live for free for a little while. Yeah, so adults and the young people in their lives, I think reading it together would be amazing, right? And there's going to be things in here that adults have maybe already experienced, but now they have a new perspective on how to do it differently. And they also then can have some compassion and some empathy for where their kids are at and the world that the kids are entering into when they're starting their careers versus the world that we entered into, which not saying it was a picnic, because I graduated during the 2008 recession. So I was like, glad I spent all this money on loans to have very little jobs available. Awesome. That's actually what led me to entrepreneurship. I think we can then be having these conversations, and that is so critical, right? And also having the language to have the conversations. Like, to me, this could be a family book study, that y'all do together, and then say, what did you think of this? Or what are your thoughts on that? What's your perspective on this? So that there's conversations and there's meetings of the mind, instead of just go get a job or whatever advice that our parents gave us that felt out of touch. Now we can have conversations and get aligned.
Yeah. But personal finance books can be a little bit heavy.
Yes.
What makes this book like more digestible for your younger audience?
Yes, I love this question. First of all, I talk how I talk. So how you hear me talking, that's how I write. Okay.
Yes.
So I use slang and I'm cracking jokes and I'm also telling stories. There are stories in this book from my own youth that I was like, should I write this? Because I don't know that everyone should know that I was a criminal. You know what I'm saying? I did what was available to me. You have to read the book to get the story, okay? You know what I'm saying? So should I be putting that in this book? But that's what some young people are dealing with. And I was like, I want them to know that where I came from, right, I still am the product, right? So if they have the same background as me or the same experience, or if they're like, my experience is not great, but at least it's not as bad as hers was, you know what I mean? Like, that will make them feel like, yes, I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling a lot of stories from my own youth, some of them embarrassing and hilarious. Others, we'll see what you think when you read it. But there's also a ton of great stories from young people of all different backgrounds who also became entrepreneurs successfully and built businesses. I tell the story of a young person that I know personally she used to be my photographer. She took all the pictures of my kids when they were born and all of our family photos. And she became a homeowner at 19 years old, right? Because she just had a plan and she had a strategy and she worked that plan. She got a skill. She followed the advice that I give in the book about how you approach your career and came into a career that allowed her she wasn't rich by any means, but she certainly was capable of buying a home, and she did. And now that's an asset that she now rents out while she travels. And she still has that same successful business many years later. So lots of different stories about different young people and what their approach was to getting financially free and using entrepreneurship and their career path as a way to make it happen.
I love that for us, as the finance space traditionally has been very like male and stale, as Berna would say, and
male and stale.
Male and pale.
I love it.
And pale.
Male, stale, and pale. Yes.
And that's why I have my platform, because I feel like people need voices that they can relate to.
Yes.
And they're not speaking to the people. And I feel like there's this pushback now from finance professionals. Oh, this person is sharing all this advice and they're not even certified financial professionals and they're not doing all this and they're not licensed in this area. And I'm just like, hey, guess what? If you were actually serving these audiences, then there wouldn't be a demand for this.
Let me tell you what, my investing strategy has outpaced my certified financial planner that I used to work with year after year after year. And I was very scared to do it and go out on my own and stop working with them. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I've gotten nothing but better returns, managing it myself, learning about it, and then learning how to manage it myself. So I think those days are over of this title is enough. It's not a title anymore. Now you got to come with something and you have to actually connect with people And that's critical. So I don't think people want their money advice from, people who are doing it some old school way, or they have some particular license or title, but they're not relatable, right? And they're also, therefore, there's a lack of trust. Especially young people today, they're like, do we share the same values? If we don't, I'm not spending my money with you. Kate, let's look at Target, right? Need we say more? Okay. Right. If it's not aligned, people ain't messing with it. And so I think that's, people missed out on this opportunity to reach a whole group of people who we are making money. Let's be clear. Black people are making money. Women of color are making money. We're making more money than a lot of other segments of the population. And we're just deciding what to do with that money, how to invest that money. And if people aren't speaking to us in a way that works for us, then we're going to go elsewhere. Okay.
And the whole thing is that what people don't understand is there's a lot of people that have a vested interest in making sure that you're financially ignorant.
Yes.
And we're out here trying to tell you, listen, no, that get it out the mud. Oh, you don't have to leave nothing for your kids. Let them figure it out. All of that shit is a vested interest in making sure that you and future generations struggle. No, that is not how it has to be. And so there was a huge opportunity for education. There's a huge opportunity to make sure that values are aligned in the financial decisions that you make that people just aren't even talking about. And it's just like people just have a vested interest, like I said, in making sure that either you're beholden to them for that financial information or that you're just ignorant and don't have any kind of wealth at all.
Yes. And also think it's not available to you. And that's why I wrote both of these books, right? And more, I have more books coming, and they're all about making sure that we understand our power, right? We have the ability to turn our skill set, our talent, our ideas, our creativity into cash. And that is the pathway that I'm trying to show people. Is a whole chapter about how to do that in this book as well, because I want us to see that the talents that you are born with, the natural skills that you have, the creativity that you have, you can turn that into finances, right? You can turn that into more money and earn a lot more money. And us walking around thinking that making money is hard and making money is inaccessible to us and we have to have this and that before we can make money. Lies. Okay. It's not true. And so this is a practical pathway to get there so that they can earn more, so they can invest and separate their earnings from their labor, which we all know is the key to wealth.
Exactly. And I like to frame it like building wealth is about the ability to opt out of the bullshit that you don't want to do. And that's the things that I set up for my kids. My kids are going to have the ability to opt out of the things that I couldn't opt out of when I was their age, when I was going through college and all these kind of things. It gives you your time back. Wealth equals time equals freedom equals true freedom. And I don't think enough people understand that. They think, oh, you talk about money all the time. That's about greed and all of that kind of stuff. No, it's not. It's not about greed. It's about these basic rights that for so long were deprived for people that look like me. And this education and these resources are out there and readily available. But if we don't talk about them, we don't know that we can access them.
Yes. Exactly. We don't know that this pathway is available to us, right? This is how we wind up with certain politicians in office, right? Because we don't have the money to write checks to the progressive candidates that we want to see who actually represent our interests. So economic power is directly tied to political power, which impacts every aspect of our lives as we are experiencing right now. So us getting money is not optional, right? It is not a greedy thing. Who taught you it was greedy? The greedy men who want you to work for them for the rest of your life and give you their labor for cheap. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that's who taught you it was greedy. Yeah. I'll be greedy call me greedy all day long. Okay. Cause I'm going to keep getting this money because I understand that it's important for myself and my family, but it's also important for my people, right? As a society, as a culture, as a community. Right? We need resources so that we can put money behind what's important to us. So I want young people to know what to do from day one. I just think about what I've accomplished for myself. And I started in my late 20s figuring this stuff out. I didn't start investing till mid 30s. When I learned about this, and now young people are going to learn about it a lot sooner Now, imagine what's going to be possible for them when they're starting so much earlier. And so we just have to think about, this is a generational play, right? This is for the next generation so that they're taking these tools and then using them for years to come. And as a result, we can look back and say, these are all the people that were able to build wealth, build great companies for people to work at, to be paid well. There's so much that's possible. That is huge. It goes beyond just being able to pay your bills. Like, I need us to dream bigger, okay? Like, my dream is not cover my bills, okay? And I need it to not be y'all's neither, all right? Can we dream a little bigger than that? Like, for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, right? Let us dream bigger, and then let's fight for those dreams and make them happen.
Yeah. And we're taught to dream so small. Like, our parents' goals for us was to go to college. For our generation, I know, go to college, get a good job, stay at that good job with a good pension and all that stuff, and retire. And I didn't know that there was a world outside of this. Like, I get approached by people in fintech spaces that are like having startups, and like they're building these companies from scratch in their 20s, and their realm of possibility is so much bigger. And I wonder, like, how come we're not taught like that? Like, I'm like, how can they think it's okay to just do this thing? And I'm still like thinking small. I'm still thinking, oh, maybe I'll be a CEO of CNO of a hospital. Like, that's like big. No, that's not. And I just want to emphasize the importance of changing your circle of influence and how much that really opens up your world. And I feel like when people read books like that, it makes you question, who are you surrounding yourself with? What kind of conversations are you having? And I think that's a valuable lesson to learn as a child. Like, you may not have grown up with this ideal of like how to really dream big, but somebody else was taught that.
Yes.
And what can you learn from that?
Exactly. That's why I think books are so critical. Like, I love all of our short form content that we put out into the world. And I think it's valuable. I love YouTube videos, even podcast episodes, right? But there's nothing like a well-researched book, a long form piece of content that took someone a year to put together, because it's really just thoughtfully created, and all of the stories and all of the examples, like, you get to go deep on a topic rather than hitting the surface. And also, you get to go deep on a topic and learn from people who are outside of your community or who are outside of your network or reach, right? So if you can't sit down and have a conversation with someone as a potential mentor, but they wrote a book, guess what? Now they're your mentor, because you get to read their thoughts. You know what I mean? You get to read their advice. And so I think books are really a powerful way to accelerate. And for sure, for me, I was not surrounded by wealth. I grew up in struggle, right? Like, my family was on food stamps and struggled to keep the rent on and keep the rent paid and keep the lights on. So that's why money was so important to me as a young person. I was like, oh, I see that you don't have money, you're going to be struggling, and there's going to be a lot of stress in your household, stress that caused health issues and all kinds of things. So, when people say money's not that important to me, I'm just like, you are lying. Okay? You either lying or you ain't never been broke.
Lie. You ain't got to lie to me. Lie to somebody else.
Right. Because you must not have ever experienced financial struggle. If you're saying that and you believe what you're saying, you must never have been broke, because if you've ever been broke, you understand exactly how important money is just to your overall well-being. And also, about your point about community, it's so true. I have a whole chapter in here about your squad and who you spend time with, because it is critical. And I can look back and say, on my entrepreneurial journey, the people that I was in community with, they became my clients. They referred me onto stages. There was so much opportunity. They were critical to my journey. Those people. Also, they were just a positive, like, when something bad happened, they gave me advice, they were a shoulder to cry on, and they were also the people that kept me going and prevented me from quitting, right? So, like, that, your squad is everything. Get you some new friends, y'all. Upgrade your community, okay, if you don't already have a great community.
Yeah, your squad also extends outside. Like, it's not just the people that you hang out with, it's the messages that you take in. I always tell people to read, to curate your social media, to include people that you aspire to be like, and not on some trying to be like Instagram wealthy, but just like people that you can actually learn something from and like shape your reality around, because then that's going to change your perception of what's possible for you. So I love that. But for you, like, within all that, and all that you've experienced, and you've been doing this entrepreneurial thing for a long time, like, what messages would you have for your 16-year-old self?
Yes. My message would be, trust your ideas. They are valuable. They are worth millions. Like that's the first thing that I would want my younger self to know. Because I think we don't trust ourselves. We want to get everybody else's advice. And when you are creating something new and you see a door, you see a pathway, you see an opportunity that others don't see, and then they're like, I don't know if you should do that. Of course they don't see it, right? Like you're creating the future, right? Like you're creating something new and they don't get it. That's fine. Let them not get it. You have to trust your own ideas and your own pathway and not expect everybody else to get it. So I think that's number one. Trust your own decision making too. Because when I look back, when I've hired expensive consultants to come into my business and give me advice at different stages as I've scaled, I've just been like, every time, I'm like, I didn't need to spend that money. I could have done this better. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. I already knew that, or they did it poorly. And it's just now I've learned to trust my own voice and my own decisions. And also I know my audience. I am my audience and I've studied my audience. I have all the empathy in the world for my audience and what they're dealing with because I've been there. And so no one is better situated to make decisions about how we're going to grow this company than me. And I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully confident in that. But there was a time where I wasn't. So I think I had to learn that over time by just trying to listen to other people and realizing they know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I won't say that. Like, I definitely had super valuable, amazing business coaches along the way. But at the end of the day, this is your business. You got to make the decisions for yourself, or it's your life, your career, whatever it is. So trust your gut and trust your own instincts. That's one thing for sure. And then the other thing that I would want my 16-year-old self to know, and I feel like people sometimes get mad at me when I say this, but making money is easy. There is a plethora of money even today.
Yes.
And there are people selling all kinds of nonsense all over the internet and making tens of millions of dollars selling stupid things. You know what I mean? Making money is actually not hard. It is very accessible. You are very capable of it. Money is readily available to you. And it's just about, okay, what do I need to do to go get it? That's it.
Exactly. I think a lot of people that get mad at you just have a lot of resistance against that, and they can't see that for themselves. And so, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. But we're trained to believe that making money is hard because then we're going to keep our jobs and we're going to say, no, we need to have stability and security. And you know what I mean? We're going to continue to play small and not take advantage of opportunities that are available to us, not capitalize on our ideas. And that it plays into what society wants, was just for us to work at these stupid corporate jobs that are not getting us where we want to be. And we know it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So making money is actually very easy. And I would challenge people, if that triggers you, if that bothers you, then you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why does this bother me? And write down those reasons, like really explore that within yourself so you can find where that scarcity lives in you and you can start shifting those thoughts, right? And training yourself to believe and know that making money is easy. Because when you believe that, you're like, okay, whatever problem, I can solve it. If it's a financial problem, I can solve it. How much do we need? Okay, let me come up with a new idea and let me go put that out there and let me go get this money and problem solved.
Yep.
Not all problems can be solved with money, but any ones that can, you can make the money to solve it. Period. And that's why, too, a lot of this book is focused on earning more, because I want to have that conversation. Because a lot of times people are like, okay, here's what to do with your 401k. Here's how to put your money in the IRA, right? Like all of these details. And it's like, okay, I have a question. What if you have no money? You know, like, what do you do then? What do you do if you have just enough to pay rent and you still, I remember being in my early 20s. I was probably like 22, living on my own for the first time. And one month I would be paying my Con Ed bill. And I would call the cable bill and be like, hey, can I get 30 days, right? And then the next month I'd pay the cable bill and then I'd call Con Ed and be like, hey, can I get 30 days? And I was constantly hustling Robert Peter to pay Paul because I did not earn enough in my job to just pay for my life and basic life. I did not have enough money to pay for it. And so learning how to earn more, you absolutely, if you're listening to this, you have earning potential. You have natural skills that you can use. You have experiences you can use, you have talent, you have creativity you can use to make more money right now, as you are today, right? Even at 16 years old. So you have the ability to earn more. And so I want to teach people how they can use those skills to create offers, to earn more, start a side hustle. And I literally have 100 ways for young adults to make money in the back of the book, like just to get the wheels turning and see there's so many options that are available to you. I was actually just talking to a couple of young people in my family this weekend about this new website that is all about, you could play video games and get paid to play video games. And so they're like, oh, we're all over it. So they all signed up. And it's like, you literally make $36 an hour playing new video games and finding the glitches and stuff like that. And it's like, if you love video games, so there is no reason. There are so many hustles available today. Like there is no reason why you shouldn't earn more money if you want to.
Yes, 100%. And I love that. And I love that you have those resources in the back of the book. And so I know you mentioned earlier that you have some bonuses if you buy 2 books, but how do we get the book? How do we get these bonuses? How do we get these incentives that you're offering?
Yes. So it's all at futuremillionairebook.com. So if you go to futuremillionairebook.com, you'll get all the details. So if you buy 2 physical hard copies of the book, so I know y'all love the audiobook, I know y'all love the Kindle, but I need y'all to buy the physical copy, okay? And you're going to want to, because there's all kinds of charts and checklists and stuff in there that you're going to want. So if you buy 2 physical copies of the book, all you got to do is go to futuremillionairebook.com, upload the receipt, and then you get 2 tickets to Money Camp, which is a 5-day course that I'm teaching May 12th to the 16th. So that is our pre-order bonus. And if you choose to do a bulk order of 100 copies, so we have a lot of people who are buying 100 copies of the book for young people. So we've partnered with different high schools and different colleges. And so some of my entrepreneur friends that maybe have a little extra cash, they're using that to buy 100 copies of the book and donating those books to high schools in need, because a lot of these schools have had their budget slashed. And there's no place that we need personal finance taught more than in colleges and high schools. So you have that option as well. You could buy 100 books. And if you do that, you get invited to a networking dinner with me in New York City on May 24th. So it'll be
nice.
Good for business.
I love that. And I also love like pushing for people to advocate for it to be in the public libraries too.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a way on most library sites to go in and put in the, I'm going to say the number wrong, IBSN number or whatever it is.
Yes. I think it's the ISBN.
See,
yes, ISBN. Yes.
Dyslexic.
Listen, I just looked at the back of the book. That's the only reason I know. I just went and looked. It's not like I remembered.
Okay, but I love that. So everybody go to futuremillionaires.com, get a copy of the book, get 2 copies of the book at least, or 100.
Yes, and get a copy for you and a young person in your life, and then both of y'all come to Money Camp, right? So we can have these conversations, and I'll answer questions. I'm going to be teaching lessons from the book live, and then doing Q&A with everybody. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So in conclusion, if there's one thing that you want people to walk away learning from reading the book, what would it be?
I want them to know the Get Money formula. So the Get Money formula that I lay out in the book is teaching people a new way, like how to go from having a job to having a side hustle to becoming an investor and building real wealth. So that pathway is the new pathway that is replacing the go to college, get a job, buy a house. I want them to see this other pathway that is 100% available to them. It doesn't require going to get a college degree. Of course, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. And it's available to everybody, whether you're 80 or 18. You can do this. So that's what I want people to know. And to know that building wealth requires risk, whether it's risking your $20 that you're going to spend on this book, right? That could be the first risk that you take, or even the 30 minutes that you might have spent listening to this podcast. That's okay. I can spend 30 minutes listening to anything. I'm going to listen to this, right? So risk, right? Learn how to take risks, because wealth is built based on risk. There's going to be a certain amount of risk required in order to become wealthy always. Of course, you want to be strategic about it. You want to be smart about it, but taking risks is part of it. It's not just hard work. We know hardworking people everywhere, all over the world, are not wealthy. So it ain't that. It's some hard work is good, but you got to add some risk to that. And that's what's going to help you to build wealth.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been incredible. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to get a couple of copies or more of this book. Definitely something I want to share with my community. I appreciate you writing it. We need this, especially right now. So this is a must read again on my list. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course.